Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Homestead HQ, where we talk about homesteading and preparedness. This is Shelly.
And I'm Jason. Hey guys, and welcome back. If it's your first time here, we're glad to have you. We'll start this episode off. We'll get some of our vendor or some of our sponsors out of the way. VacMaster is one of our big sponsors. I use their product almost every day. They make commercial chamber sealers. They make a whole line of butchering knives and a line of kitchen knives. Their website is vacmasterfresh.com. If you use the code Homestead, you'll save 15% off your order. So go check those guys out. Buy their products. They've got a pretty good sale going on all the way through August. Certain models, if you buy certain model chamber sealers, you'll get a free stainless steel table to go with it. So go check those out and use the code Homestead to save 15% off your order. So, Shelly, what have you been up to? Where's your cowboy hat? Did you get another cowboy hat or not?
I did not get another
you
one.
did get another one.
I've been to the Big D, right? And I do mean Dallas.
Not the divorce.
Right. No, not the divorce. Not
Let's
at all.
specify.
So I just got back from Texas. I had to go down there. We've got a sales center, the company that I work for. We've got a sales center in Irving, Texas. And I was down there doing training for some of our distributors. I just got back from that last night. I was there for 3 days. Any of you all that live in that area, if you live in that area, I'm sure you have, but they've got a restaurant down there called Hard 8. Y'all, it's like the best thing ever. You walk in and they've got probably a dozen smokers that are kind of sitting outside. They've got a couple grills, and you go in and they have this big, massive, it's just a warmer, I guess. And they put fire or coals underneath it to keep it warm, but it's all open. It's probably like 8 feet long by 4 foot wide with every kind of meat. So you walk in and you say, I want some bacon wrapped shrimp, and I want some couple slices of brisket and some smoked sausage and maybe half a chicken and whatever. And then they weigh it. You go inside, you get your sides, and you pay for it. And it is the best food ever. It was so good. I love that place. It's the second time I've eaten there, and it's a carnivore's dream. Let me tell you, it's amazing.
You could have waited till the end to tell us that. Now I want to go. Now I'm like, let's hurry up and get this done. I want to go eat.
It's the best place to eat. They've got them all over that area. There's like a dozen of them or something. I've not seen them anywhere else or any other place we've traveled, but they're the best.
That is, if I had to pick one thing, like barbecue would be what I would want to eat for the rest of my life.
Right.
It's just I never get sick of barbecue. It's always like, yes, I'll take barbecue. I'm looking forward to Saturday. We've got some of the pork left over, and we're going to do pork tacos and nachos with that at the radio class. So I'm like, yeah, we're going to eat some of that. So,
that'll be good. I love barbecue nachos.
Oh, yeah. So really, you didn't get to do anything but travel this week.
No, I haven't done anything on the homestead. To be honest with you, I came home last night. I got in super late, went to bed, got up this morning, went to work, worked half a day. Now I'm at home, and I haven't even been outside to look at my animals. Crystal's been outside cleaning out our chicken or our turkey coop out there where our breasties are at. And she's been working on cleaning up the floor in the barn, but I haven't even been out to lay eyes on my animals. I've just had so much going on in the last 2 days. So what have you been up to?
I've not got anything other than taking care of animals, moving pasture, that kind of stuff, making sure feed, water, all that stuff. That just the general stuff. I hadn't done anything major. Baseball is going full swing. It's stinking 3 nights a week. We had church the other night, so we didn't get home, and I'm just like, I don't have time. And yesterday, essentially, I probably drove 120 miles yesterday, just looking at jobs and checking on jobs and stuff like that. So by the end of the day, I was like, I'm beat. I was like, I just don't want to do anything. So I came down to the office where I'm at now, did some paperwork and did some social media crap. And then it was time to go to church. And I'm like, I'm toast. And after church, ate dinner and was like, I'm going to watch YouTube and veg out on some YouTube videos for a while. So,
it'd be nice if we had 40 more hours in the week. We might be able to get some stuff done, right?
That or if we could do, and it wouldn't affect me any, but people are like, I want to do the 4-day work week. You know,
That'd be nice. We've talked about it where I work, but we've not got to the point where we can do it because we're a manufacturing place. So it's hard to make that happen. But they've talked about it. I don't know. Maybe someday.
Yeah. Now, one of my buddies that does trim work, all he does is trim work. He's got 2 crews that all they do is trim out big houses in Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
And they started a 4-day. They'll run 4 10s, and they take Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. And he said it's very rare that they'll have to work a Friday. And he's like, the guys love it. So most of the time he spends his Friday running and looking at jobs. So, but it's never worked out. I've tried it before, and something always pops up on Friday. It's like, crap, I got to do this or I got to do that. So I'm just like, and you never know. I mean, some days I might bust a 12-hour day at work, and then other days it might just be a 6-hour day, and I can come back here and do some stuff. So, but it seems like you're always working if you're self-employed. There's no clock in and clock out.
Right.
So when we get done with this, I've got paperwork and some jobs to bid and stuff like that, calling suppliers and everything. So I'll do that once we get done with this. So, but yeah, that's all that's kind of happening with me. What kind of great news articles do you have? Hopefully it's nothing about food right now, because now I'm starving.
No, it's not about food. Do we have a sponsor for our news?
Yeah, we've got, and actually it's Signature Solar. SignatureSolar.com is their website. Signature Solar is one of our premier sponsors for the festival. So guys, go to their website, check them out. Use our affiliate link. Right now, they don't have anything off, but their prices are so low. I've checked their prices.
They've got fantastic prices.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy some of the prices they've got. But check those guys out. Use our affiliate link. We get a small little percentage of that. It doesn't cost you anything extra. But do that. Hopefully, Signature Solar is going to be at the festival with product that you can buy there. So we're waiting to see if they're going to be there in person or not. But those guys are one of the major sponsors for the festival, and we appreciate those guys a lot.
Absolutely.
So what's our non-food news?
Okay, so my first news article, and I just got to give a shout out to my office mate at work, Rayana. She's always on the lookout for just weird articles for me. She's really good at finding them. So shout out to Ray. Okay, the first article, it says Florida doctor who didn't wear hearing aids during colonoscopy couldn't hear patient yelling. Can you imagine? So let me read this to you.
So you couldn't hear him fart either, I guess?
Well, just listen. No, I don't guess he could, but just listen. It says, hearing impaired doctor was placed on probation after Florida health officials said he began performing a colonoscopy without his hearing aids and did not know the patient was not fully sedated. According to the Florida Board of Medicine documents filed earlier this month, the doctor, his name is Ishwari Prasad, was accused of not immediately stopping the colonoscopy when the patient began yelling during the procedure at a surgery center in Tampa on June 5th, according to an administrative complaint filed by the health department. A separate colonoscopy was performed the same day, and Prasad allegedly delegated that procedure to a surgical tech who's not even a licensed doctor. So he was doing a colonoscopy on a guy, and you're supposed to be completely out for those.
Yeah.
Because you know what it entails, right?
Yeah.
And the dude wasn't out.
Exit.
Yeah. The dude wasn't out, and he didn't know, and the guy started screaming, and he couldn't hear him because he didn't have his hearing aids in. And later on in the article, it says that he started practicing medicine in the early 1980s. So that puts him somewhere between 70 and 80 years old. Couldn't hear the dude screaming.
Well, now, what was everybody else in the room doing?
That was the thing. It doesn't say anything in the article about that. Was nobody else in the room with him? Do you just go in there with the gastroenterologist or whatever it is, the dude that does it? Are you just in there with them? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, well, look at this. If somebody's trying to shove something up my butt, they're going to have to be deaf, dumb, and blind not to realize that I'm trying to get away from them.
That's why you got to be knocked out, dude.
Yeah, but
so you don't escape.
Yeah, but if the guy's not knocked all the way out, is he not moving around?
Well, I mean, maybe he was, maybe he was like just really lethargic and couldn't get up or something. I mean, they had dosed him. He just wasn't all the way out like he was supposed to be. You're supposed to be completely under for a colonoscopy.
There's just so much that went wrong with that deal.
I know. I can't imagine the guy. It's horrible.
I've read stories before where people are not knocked all the way out and they're doing surgery on them and they're totally impaled and they can't move, but they're feeling all that.
Right. And like they can't even open their eyes, but they know that, they can feel the pain and everything, and it gives them nightmare. I've read stories about that too. It's awful.
Wow. And then letting the surgical tech violate somebody, that's like a good time, sounds like.
Right. Yeah. So this dude is like, he's been brought up on charges and his license has been suspended and all that kind of stuff because apparently he doesn't need to be practicing medicine anymore.
Apparently not, especially not at that age.
No.
Maybe he could run for president. Because everybody else running for president's about that age.
About, yeah.
Yeah.
He might qualify. So.
He could.
And all I'd have to do is take his hearing aids out and he wouldn't have to hear all the people opposing him, right?
Exactly. Probably couldn't see them either, I'd say.
Probably not. So my other article, and I have read about this before, this totally grosses me out. Have you heard about these hammerhead worms?
I've seen some of that.
So there's hammerhead worms. It says that they're posing a growing threat to gardens. They're the picture that I'm looking at right now. It's like black and white striped. They've got a head on them that kind of looks like a hammerhead shark. And this article came out August 20th of 2024. It says, and this is from Washington. I'm guessing Washington State. It usually says DC if it's talking about that. But it says earthworms, as we know, are garden champions, cleaning the soil by eating their weight in organic matter every day and aerating as it wriggles around, creating tunnels and, root growth. They also improve soil moisture, remove fungal spores, stimulate microbial activity, and it benefits plant health. So earthworms are good. You want earthworms in your garden. If you go out there, I know like in Jason's food forest, he can go out there and dig up a little bit in where the mulch is at, and there's earthworms all through it. That's a good thing to have, right? But the article says there's another weird worm out there that's toxic, deadly to our beloved earthworms, and nearly impossible to kill. As its name would imply, the narrow snake-like flat worm has a head built like a hammerhead shark, and it's hardly a newcomer. It's believed to have hitched a ride to the U.S. from Southeast Asia on with a shipment of plants around 1900. They start out about 2 to 3 inches long. They grow to about 15 inches long.
Gee.
And they're a force to be reckoned with. It says, although they are ravenous earthworm hunters, hammerheads are coated with the same paralytic neurotoxin that's present in the pufferfish, and it keeps birds and insects from preying on them. It gives them a decisive advantage in that the neurotoxin keeps the birds and insects away, and it gives them an advantage in the food chain. That chemical coating is toxic to pets and would likely irritate your skin if you were to pick it up. And to add insult to injury, their bodies contain parasitic nematodes, tiny roundworms that feed on plants and can be parasites to humans, animals, and beneficial insects.
They sound like a pain in the ass.
Yeah. I mean, I think that if you got infested with these suckers, it'd be bad. It says the slithering pests love heat and humidity, so they initially made their homes in Alabama, California, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, South Carolina, and Texas. But greenhouses are also hot and humid, so the worms have been inadvertently transported on nursery plants to gardens in Arkansas, Illinois, Kentucky, Massachusetts, Michigan, Missouri, North Carolina, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Virginia, Washington, D.C. They've also been found in Hawaii and Canada.
Wow. It doesn't sound like there's a good solution to get rid of the things then.
Mm-mm.
Scorched earth policy on that, I guess.
Probably.
If I saw one of those thinking 15 inches long,
Right.
that's a snake.
I mean, it would devastate your garden because, you know, it would essentially kill off the life that makes your garden work right, you know? And I know, you know, when William does his talk about soil health and all that kind of stuff, he's talking about good nematodes and bad nematodes. I think these are the bad nematodes.
Yeah. They would have to be. I mean, and I don't realistically know. I mean, if they've got, from what you were naming out, all the chemical on them and stuff like that, I guess you would have to go scorched earth on that and make sure all of them are dead and then reintroduce everything again.
Yeah.
I wonder if dewormers would take care of those.
Oh, I don't know. That might be a good idea.
Because, you know, if you're worming your animals, it's killing the worms that are inside the animals. But then when the animals poop out, they've still got dewormer in there, and then that kills
it kills the healthy worms. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if these things are eating the earthworms, they're non-existent anyway, right?
Yeah. That's why I was thinking go scorched earth
Yeah.
on it and start over. Jeez. Hopefully.
Yeah, if any of you all out there got some news about how to take care of these, if we start to see them in our gardens, please let us know, because Lord knows oh my gosh, I don't even want to deal with that. Like, it makes me, I'm kind of thinking if you don't have them, you know, if you're not dealing with this problem, do your own plant starts. Don't go buy them in a nursery.
Yeah.
Or make sure that you buy them from a source that you know is a good source. But because the things that are coming in from out of state are going to the big box stores, right?
Yeah.
And so we're always talking about support local, support small business, go to your local nursery that you know, they're building or they're planting their seeds and all, doing their own starts and all that. If you got to get plant starts, go support them. Don't buy them from big box stores, or start your own seeds at home. We should probably do a podcast about that, about how to start your own seeds. But
have that closed loop system. I mean, just like my animals, we're in a closed loop system. We don't bring animals in from other places. So you don't have to worry. You know, all these people are like, oh, well, you got to vaccinate for this, vaccinate for that. And it's like, if you've got a closed loop system and you're not bringing new animals in and out all the time, you don't have to do all that mess.
Right.
So we don't do a lot of those vaccinations because it's all closed.
Right. Yeah. I was reading this article and I thought, oh my God, I don't even know what I'd do if I went out and saw one of those in my yard.
Napalm.
Right.
Yeah, just flamethrow the whole place. So, all right, since we've talked about the earthworms, let's move on to our main topic of the day. The main topic is homesteading myths busted. Really, essentially what you really need. Shelley, you've got a list of stuff that we've kind of compiled.
I've got a list
about some of the myths. Let's start with myth number 1.
So myth number 1 is that you cannot homestead, and I just yanked my computer around. Sorry about that. You cannot homestead unless you have a massive amount of land.
That's not true.
It's not true.
I know there's tons of people that are doing, you know, urban, we'll call it urban homesteading on, you know, a third of an acre or half acre lot. You can produce a lot of stuff off a half acre. I mean, you're not. Did you know that
you can homestead if you live in an apartment?
Yeah. I mean, you can grow your own food on a balcony, anything like that. I mean, if you got a small courtyard, or I mean, heck, you could guerrilla garden.
Yep.
And you know, the apartment complex, just go out, you know, in the flower bed and guerrilla garden, do some stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, there's tons of people that are growing a lot of stuff on a third of an acre or half an acre. It's all, stack functions, stuff like that.
My brother, gosh, his lot is probably, I don't know, I think he might have almost a half acre. And he started out, I don't know, like 10 years ago. He had, those pavers that you can get to build retaining wall kind of things and landscaping. So he went and bought some of those, and he made this like round kind of, well, it was like oval. I want to say it was maybe 6 feet by 4 feet or something like that out of those pavers. And he planted a garden in it, and he called it his little garden that could. And he's added on to it. I think it may be double in size now. And he lives in a very urban area. There's like a park behind him, houses all around, and all that kind of thing. Him and my sister-in-law get enough food out of that garden that they actually can out of that. I mean, they get all kinds of tomatoes, cucumbers. He's planted okra, just all kinds of different stuff. And has enough to last them into the winter, just out of that little bitty space. And he does kind of, I don't think he realizes that he does it, but he kind of does square foot gardening. He's figuring out exactly, how many of what he can get where, and he just maximizes that space and gets tons of food. And takes good care of it and everything, keeps it weeded, so he gets or as much production as he can. You don't have to have acres and acres of land. You can do it, in your backyard. You can do it, make a garden bed up next to your house. You can, like Jason said, put a little, put them in pots on your balcony. If you can grow mushrooms in a closet and you're still a homesteader. If you're, growing your own food, that's what it is. You don't have to have acreage.
Yeah. I mean, you could if you got a half acre lot, throw your square foot gardening in, and then throw a small chicken coop in, and you've got a nice little setup that's going to provide a lot of vegetables for you and a lot of protein with the eggs. I mean, you're probably not going to run too much meat bird stuff through there, but I mean, you could have, as long as you're getting the eggs, you're getting protein there, and then you've got your vegetables. I mean, realistically, you could do, instead of having all the nice landscaping, you could do an edible landscape and do that. Some of the, like your blueberry bushes and stuff like that, they would look fine. People would drive by, they'd never know, that it was blueberry bushes instead of boxwoods, which personally for me, I would rather have blueberry bushes.
I would too.
Put out there instead of boxwoods. At least you're getting something. And then, heck, instead of doing mulch it real good, mulch your front part, your front landscape beds with wood chips and plant strawberries, and let them take over as a ground cover. Most people are going to look at, oh, that's some nice ivy that you've got planted out there.
Right.
People plant ivy as ground cover all the time. Why not do it in strawberries where you can go out there and eat it?
Well, people use, there's sweet potatoes out there, sweet potato plants that don't actually produce sweet potatoes, but people use them in their landscaping because they have kind of those heart-shaped looking leaves, Yeah. Plant real sweet potatoes. Grow the sweet potatoes. You're going to have the same looking stuff as ground cover, and people put them in their landscaping. So, yeah.
Yeah, instead of doing the stupid Bradford pears that break every time the wind blows.
Those things.
Yeah, plant fruit trees.
Yep.
And do that. You're going to get some shade off those things, and you're going to get a crop eventually out of it. Plant nut trees. Of course, nut trees are going to take a lot longer to produce than your fruit trees, but it's just, I like edible landscape stuff. So yeah, I'm real tempted to pull out the boxwoods in front of my house and put blueberry bushes. If I could do it and get away with it, and
so you better talk to Whitney.
Yeah, if someone would not notice, I would do it in a heartbeat. But I think somebody would notice if I did that.
Probably.
So, I would throw strawberries out there too, instead of going in there and mulching it every year. It's like, that's a waste of time.
Your strawberries in your food forest make excellent ground cover.
You cannot, in that older section, you cannot walk out there without walking on plants.
Right. They're everywhere.
It's stupid crazy how bad they're going. I really need to thin some of them out, and I might do it late this fall once everything gets real cool and I can transplant them.
Yeah.
So,
So myth number 2 is that people think that they need to be an expert in something, like an expert in gardening or an expert in animal husbandry, which animal husbandry is, taking care of your animals. You don't have to be an expert. You can learn as you go.
yeah.
It's okay. Now I'm a proponent of, if I'm going to get an animal, I want to do a little bit of research. I want to learn as much as I can. I'm going to get on YouTube and watch videos of people raising those animals and, find out as much as I can about that. But you can learn as you go. It's okay. You don't have to be an expert. And really, gardening, the only way to become an expert in gardening is doing it.
Just to kill some stuff.
Right. Failure leads to experience, right? It teaches us things.
Yeah, and you're not going to be an expert. You have to have the trials and the failures to become an expert in something. So you're going to start out. Nobody starts out as an expert, and a lot of people never get to an expert level. Honestly, I mean, there's very few 100% experts in this world on stuff. People know a lot about stuff, but I mean, few and far between. There's somebody that's 100% competent on a subject. But I mean, I'm not an expert on anything. I mean, well, there might be a few things people say I'm an expert, but I mean, I'm not an expert on raising sheep. I'm not an expert by any means on gardening. I'm not an expert on food forest or permaculture, but I keep growing and learning every day stuff about it. So, I mean, go ahead and get that stuff. I mean, don't run out and get sheep and cows and chickens and pigs. Don't get all that stuff. Go with one thing. Start out with the gateway drug, chickens, and learn as much as you can about chickens. And once you've kind of mastered that, then it's like, hey, I want to do some sheep. And let's, get a few sheep, learn about those. And then if you want to move to something else, let's move on to another animal. And the same thing goes with your garden. Don't go out if you're like, hey, I want to go get a garden. Don't go out and till up an acre. Go out there and start with some grow bags or a couple raised beds. See if you even like it before you till up an acre of ground. And I mean, I guarantee if you do an acre of ground, you're going to be like, I absolutely hate gardening because you're going to be doing nothing but weeding that stuff all the time.
And Jason and I are big proponents of having a plan. Understanding what you want, and that way you have a direction to go. So, you may be in an apartment or have a small place or something, and maybe it's your plan to buy a house or get a bigger place. Use this time as your classroom. Start reading the books, start doing the research, start learning about these things. But again, Jason just said, fail. Do the things, try it out, and fail, because that's how you learn. Billy has a quote that he says all the time that was from, I think, Theodore Roosevelt said it, but it's about failing, or dare while failing greatly is the quote, and I love that, because if you don't ever take a chance, you ain't ever gonna know. You're never gonna learn anything. So get out there and fail. It's all fine.
Now let's clarify this. You said we both like to plan. You plan way more than me. I jump in both feet forward and plan as I go.
That's absolutely true. You're right.
So and honestly, if it wasn't for the planning that you do on the festival and the stuff with the podcast, it would be like just hell on wheels. I would jump in and be like, hey, sure, we'll do some radio ads. Do we have enough money for that? So, or yeah, we're gonna do this. What dates you want to do it? Oh hell, we'll plan on sometime in October and figure it out. So,
so basically what you're saying right there is that I'm the reason that we have such a successful festival. That's what you're saying, right?
You're half the reason. I'm the visionary part of it, and you just make sure.
Yeah, I can be visionary. I can do that.
All right. Well, I'll let you be visionary, and I'll handle the books then.
Oh hell no! Our festival would fall apart. No, we ain't going down that road. Okay, next myth. Where am I at here on my list? Next myth is that homesteading has to be expensive. Okay.
It can.
This is kind of a double-edged sword. It can be. The thing you need to remember about homesteading doesn't have to be expensive. You need to this is why you need a plan. You need to think about what you want your outcome to be. You don't need to be competing with somebody else. Like Jason has a really amazing greenhouse that he's building that's not finished yet.
No.
I just had to put that in there. But anyways, he has this really amazing, cool looking greenhouse that's going to be awesome when it's done. I'm a little jealous of Jason's greenhouse. I would love to have a greenhouse like Jason's.
We could build you one faster than mine.
Now that you know how to do it.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. There's other things that I want as well. Like right now I'm working on getting a perimeter fence done for our sheep. And in my mind, the way that I do this is I figure out what I want to do and then I fund that. Now that may mean that I go to the auction that Randy and I go to all the time. That may mean that I go there and I buy a bunch of tin. Like the last time I bought tin, I got like 20 sheets of used barn tin for $5. That's pretty cheap. Yeah. I bought tomato cages for a couple bucks a piece at a sale. If you are frugal, if you don't get tore up about whether or not you build the perfect square chicken coop, I'm not a carpenter. I don't have all those skills, but we still have a chicken coop sitting out in the backyard that my chickens don't care if it's square or not. It doesn't even really look bad. The roof needs to be fixed a little bit, but it doesn't look bad. You just need to be frugal. You need to look for deals. You need to repurpose things. If you hold out long enough, you don't have to pay big money for that stuff. I don't know how many tools we've bought at the auction. We've got a little saw that has like a 6-inch blade that we paid $2 for. And I had to buy a charger or a battery for it. I think it cost me $15 on Amazon. So I have $17 in this thing. And we have cut down all kinds of stuff with that little bitty saw because it's just easy to hold and use that you don't need a giant chainsaw for. It doesn't have to be expensive. As long as you keep your stuff in perspective and you're not competing with somebody else because I'm telling you, you can get on YouTube and watch videos and be like, oh, I want all the things. All of that stuff. It doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, well, when I think what it is, when people see it and they're looking, they're like, I want a homestead. They look on Pinterest or something like that.
Oh no.
And they're like, if you want to have a Pinterest homestead, or an Instagram or something like that homestead, with a nice red barn and all this stuff and this pretty plank fence and all this and this big, nice farmhouse with a wraparound porch and all this. Yeah, hell, that's going to be expensive, but a lot of these people that have these Pinterest, and I'll call them Pinterest homesteads on the lake or whatever, yeah, they've got a lot of money sunk into that thing and they're probably not really doing the stuff,
Those are what I call hobby farms.
Yeah. I mean, the guy is some rich real estate guy, and his wife wants to pretend like she's homesteading. So they go buy him a little Kubota tractor and everything's nice and manicured and stuff like that. She ain't doing nothing. She's probably going to the stinking golf course every day, and then she'll come home and make some video. She'll dress up, like she's done something and make a little quick video of her driving across the back pasture, in her Kubota tractor and a brand new pair of Duluth overalls. And it's like, that shit ain't real.
Well, and something about the whole video thing, so there's a lot of YouTubers out there that they have homesteading channels and they say that they're homesteaders and they grow their own stuff or, that kind of thing. But they're actually full-time YouTubers. They're actually full-time video production. And so maybe they've got interns or somebody helping them run their farm or grow their stuff and it's looking like that's, like what they do full-time for their job when in actuality, they're full-time YouTubers. They make content.
Yeah.
And you don't always see, like what the whole place looks like either. you might see a nice looking section of the garden that's flourishing, and then like all around it is just like junk everywhere or something. I mean, I know that that's happened before. I've seen that, and when I've gone to different places, and I'm like, oh, this doesn't look like what it did, what I thought it was on YouTube. So, um, when I go out there and I show you how awful my garden looks, that's real life.
Yeah.
It's covered up with weeds, y'all.
Yeah, and a lot of the projects, I mean, a lot of people don't have a tractor. They don't have a Bobcat. You can rent
That's
that
our
stuff.
that's our next thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a tractor and a Bobcat really just because the Bobcat I had when I was doing concrete work and it's paid for, so there's no reason not to have it. But the thing is, rent some of the equipment. You don't necessarily have to have a tractor to run a homestead. There's tons of people that don't. But if there's one project that you need to do, stack a couple projects and rent that piece of equipment for a week. You're going to get a better daily rate if you rent it for a week and knock those projects out in a week, and you're far better off. Instead of spending $30,000 to buy one, spend $1,000 and rent it for a week.
So that's our next tip. You don't have to have or our next myth. Sorry, you don't have to have all of that, equipment. You don't have to have the right stuff to get the stuff done. You can rent it, just like Jason said. When we first bought our property, I was watching, I don't know if y'all have ever watched this, but that Homestead Rescue with the Rainies, I think is their name.
Yeah.
And I remember Randy was at work, and I called him and I said, so I think in order for us to be homesteaders, we have to have an excavator. And he said, I don't see that happening. I don't think we're going to be homesteaders. It was like every episode on that show, that guy had an excavator. And of course, he was able to fix all the stuff and move buildings and do all the things. And just because he could, move that excavator around, you don't even have to have a tractor. Just like Jason said, you don't. It does make life easier. I mean, I'm not going to lie, but Randy and I don't have a tractor. We don't have an excavator. We've got a pickup truck. We drive our truck around down in our field and move stuff that way. But it's, it can be done without it. You don't have to have it. We hire a guy that comes down and bush hogs our field, our pasture, and that's fine. Again, I feel like I'm supporting local. He does that for people to make money and all that kind of thing. And you don't have to have it.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't have a perfect setup either. I mean, there's some stuff I'd like to have as far as like unrolling bales. When we're going to bale graze stuff, unrolling the round bales, I started looking at it, and there's people that sell them, that you can hook behind the tractor and it'll unroll the bale for you. But I'm like, $2,000 or $3,000, I'll unroll this thing by hand. It takes a minute to do it, but it's fine. And then those were the smaller bales that I was unrolling by hand. We got a hold of some 1,500-pound round bales. That was a no-go, unrolling those by hand. So we switched from unrolling the hay to bale grazing. So what we would do on that, we would set the round bale there. The animals, you got a 5x6 bale. By the time they're done grazing on it, I mean, it's spread out to a 20-foot diameter circle. So you get that, and then you just move. The next time you put another bale out, you just move that. And I would go in and take a pitchfork and spread it out a little bit bigger, to where instead of 20-foot diameter, it's about a 40-foot diameter. And it worked just as good doing that as it did unrolling them. And I did it all without, a $2,000 or $3,000 roller for the tractor.
There you go. So the last myth that I have on my list is that people think that they have to be a certain type of person. So you might think that you have to be an outdoorsy person, or have a certain set of skills like carpentry or gardening or something like that. Or even that, you have to be crafty, be able to come up with ideas and all that kind of thing. You don't have to be any of those things. You don't have to be a certain kind of person. You have to have a desire to want to get in control of your own food and not reliant on the systems around you. That's what you need that's the only thing that you need. If you have that desire to want to get in control of what Leslie calls it health sovereignty. You want to get in control of your health, get in control of your food, where it comes from, and not be dependent on a system. Then you can be a homesteader.
Yeah. Well, it would help if you're an outdoor person because you're going to have to go outside to do a little homesteading. Unless you're
well, yeah, you got to go outside. But
unless
when I say
like
outdoor person, when I when I say outdoor, I'm saying outdoorsy as in, like somebody who's like a hiker, a camper, that kind of thing. Just like always into that kind of stuff. So, but those are the list of 5 that I had. So my biggest takeaway of this is I want homesteading to be accessible for everybody. So it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter the equipment. It doesn't matter how much land you have. It's accessible. You can do this. Whether you're growing stuff in a bag on your balcony or, in the little garden that could in the backyard, whatever it needs to be, it's accessible.
Yeah. And I mean, really anybody can do it no matter where you're at. No matter if you got a third of an acre or a small little, plot in your apartment, or if you got 1,000 acres, you can do it. I honestly don't think that people that have smaller acreages will produce more than the people that have big acreages because they have to make every little square foot count as opposed to somebody that's got 1,000 acres. They're just like, oh, well, we'll let that place grow up. We're not really going to do much with it. So,
yeah.
But yeah. All right. Comments, questions. I've got a comment here. This is on the last podcast about where I interviewed Chuck from Homestead Medical. Jeremy Kirby put a comment in. Says people need to pay attention to this. No, as Chuck said, medical isn't glamorous, but it's necessary and can save you or your loved one's life one day. So that is definitely true for sure. So
absolutely. I have a comment from Coonies Are Great on the emergency kit that we did. We talked about autonomous cars or self-driving cars. He said, I believe that in New York City, they have autonomous cars that are used as Ubers. So they're driving people around with no driver.
I ain't doing that.
I ain't either.
No.
Ain't for me.
That's how like Taken or Hostel will start. Get in a car and it locks you in there and then
somebody hacks into it and you're screwed, right?
And then you wind up in some hostel and get killed in a movie or something.
End up in a bathtub with ice and no kidneys.
Yeah. that or wake up and it's like that or wake up and you see a tricycle come across the room and it's like you want to play a game. It's like, hell no, I just want to go get barbecue is all I wanted.
I just wanted barbecue.
Yeah. I was trying to get to that place Shelly told me about. So.
Oh, yeah, that whole thing freaks me out.
That's why it's better just to stay at your house as much as you can.
Right? Absolutely.
A tricycle comes rolling up the driveway and we have means to take it out. So, we're going to treat it like one of those hammerhead worms, is what we'll do.
Scorched earth on the tricycle.
Yeah. I think it'll be a melted heap in the driveway. Lincoln will be like, what'd you kill the tricycle for? It's like, because you hadn't seen the movies. So come here and let's watch this movie. And you'll nuke the tricycle next time. After
oh my God, that's great.
Oh, what's our homestead tip of the day?
So our homestead tip of the day is brought to you by Hickory Ridge Soap. You can get that at twoocrowshomestead.com. The tip of the day is pasture and crop rotation is crucial. You have to do it. Even so, we've just got we've got 14 and a half acres. This field out here that we're fencing in for our sheep is probably, I don't know. So it's over half of our land. I would say it's probably about 8 acres out there. And it's going to be sectioned off. And we've only got 4 sheep. I could seriously probably just turn those 4 sheep out and just let them go wherever they wanted to go. But I don't want to do that. I want to contain them into one place, get them to eat down the things that I want them to eat, and rotate them through that. So they're always on healthy grass and there's always grass growing for them and that kind of thing. But the thing, I think, did I talk about in our last episode about my potato crop wasn't that great?
No.
I thought I did. Okay. So
Well,
I harvested.
Yeah. You talked about some of it.
Yeah, so we harvested our potatoes and we got maybe a third of what we got last year. Thinking about it now, and see, you always got to be learning, right? Thinking about it now, I think that the reason that our potato crop wasn't that great is because we planted the potatoes in the same place we planted them last year.
Very well could be.
The exact same place. And last year I had a great crop. And this year I planted them in the same place, a third of what we had last year. So next year, I'm going to move them to the other side of the garden and plant them over there. And hopefully I'll have a better crop and maybe start switching them back and forth. So even it's imperative that if you've got farmland, and I mean, most, even big scale farmers know this, because, you know, we get down to the end of our road and one year they'll have soybeans in that big field. And the next year there'll be corn, and the next year there'll be soybeans, and the next year there'll be corn. And they do that. It's crop rotation. It keeps the ground healthy. It's putting those nutrients back into the ground, because the soybeans, what they're putting into the ground or what they're taking out of the ground is different than what the corn needs. So you go back and forth and you're going to have a healthy crop. It's the same with the garden, my size, I don't have like an acre garden back here, but if I keep planting the same thing in the same spot, it's not going to produce because it's sucking the same nutrients out of the ground every year, right? It's just crucial to do pasture and crop rotation.
Yeah, and with the animals, the smaller, if you do the intensive grazing, the smaller the spots, you let them hit that. They eat a third, trample a third, and you leave a third. And they're going to put out all their pee and poop right there in that smaller area. It's going to get distributed and worked in, and then you're going to move them to the next spot. So you're putting the nutrients back in. You're trampling part of that for biomass going back into the soil, and it's going to come back just a lot better than what it is. If you were to take those animals, those sheep that you got, and throw them out on that 8 acres, they've got a buffet, and they're gonna eat the crab legs and only eat the crab legs out there in that field until there's no more crab legs, and then they're gonna back up, and the last thing they're gonna eat is the old nasty green beans that nobody wants to eat. That'll be the last thing, and you'll only have nasty green beans out in your field. But if you rotate them around, they're still gonna eat the stuff they like first, but there's only going to be so much of it, and then they're going to have to back up and eat the stuff that they don't like, and then you move them before they eat all the crab legs off that one spot.
Right. So that's my tip of the day.
Yeah. Festival stuff. We've got the festival coming up October 26th and 27th. We've got Friday before. We have 4 workshops going. We've got Grumpy Acres is doing a canning workshop. Mm-hmm. Chuck Peoples is doing a half-day suture and wound closure class. Leslie is doing a medicinal herb class, half a day, right after Chuck's. And Brian and Susan Dudley are doing a full-day emergency communications plan workshop dealing with ham radios and emergency communication for your family and a group if you have one. What else is new, Shelley?
We have several speakers that are coming in for that weekend. We've got, I need to mark which ones I talk about each time, so I talk about the other ones. But I'll just start at the top of the list. We've got Angry Prepper coming in. You can check him out on YouTube. Super knowledgeable guy, knows about prepping in urban settings. He lives in New York City. He's a firefighter up there, so you probably want to check him out. William Bond will be there. He's going to be talking about permaculture homesteads, setting up a permaculture homestead. We've got Bill Stoker coming in. He's going to be talking about homestead security. Sean Terrio is going to be there. He was at our last festival, and he's going to be talking about cybersecurity. If you want to still have your, gadgets and technical toys and everything, but not be connected to the matrix or whatever you want to call it. He can help you figure that out and get out of that. Randall White, he's going to be talking about tree grafting. That's a Flomaton famous guy, isn't it?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
Flomaton famous on YouTube.
And then Leslie Gossett's going to be there talking about, she's going to be doing an herbal foraging walk. She's also teaching an herbal class on Friday, Jason talked about. And she's going to have a booth set up where you can come around and make tinctures. Wouldn't that be cool? And then Kowalski's Mountain is going to be there. They did when we had our Homestead meetup a couple weeks ago, they came and did a talk on beekeeping, and they're going to be doing a talk at the festival on beekeeping. So that's just about a little over half of our speakers that are going to be there. And you need to come check them out, y'all. It's going to be really good.
Yeah. Then go to the website, KentuckySustainableLiving.com. Go ahead and get your tickets. Tickets are still $25. They're going to go up the 1st of October is when they'll go up to full price, and use the code. What is it? Email 25?
Yep. Email 25 will get you a $25 ticket.
Yeah. So go ahead and get your tickets. That helps us plan the event a lot better, so we'll know how many people are coming. But that does it for me. Shelly, are you done for the day?
I'm done for the day.
All right. We will see y'all later. Bye.
Bye.